Hello, everybody. Excited Utterance here. My name's Hella, and for me, it's Christmas Eve. For you, maybe not, unless you're over here on this side of the world. And here is my happy Christmas koala with his little gifts. What's in there? I'm not going to ask. Okay, so today, unfortunately, even though it's Christmas Eve, it's a little bit of a somber topic because not everyone gets to spend Christmas with their family, unfortunately. And there is one man in particular who I want to focus on today, even though there are many who don't get to spend Christmas with their family, and that man is Mr. Richard Allen, who I firmly believe has been wrongfully convicted in Delphi, in Indiana, a month or so ago. First, I want to say hello to some people. So, hey, Factual Lie, how are you? Late and a narcissist. Yes, we're all narcissists around here. Hello, Evie. It's good to see you, love. And who? KLF. You blame Dolly? Dolly, Dolly, Ilya, T-Bone, all those names. Late. I was just a teensy bit late. Just a teensy bit late. But it is Christmas Eve. There's so much to do. So much to do. I know. Chlamydia. Richard Allen isn't having a very good Christmas Eve. No, he's not. And you know what? He could have been. And his wife, Kathy, could have been. He could have been finally home. Because he deserves to be home. The man didn't do anything. I firmly believe that. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Hey, Ronnie. It's very narcissistic, Christmas, yeah. Do you like my new font? Isn't it cute? It's very Christmassy. Brandon says cope, sees, repeat. And Robin Hood says thank you for covering this. That's very nice. Do I still have that? Oh, it's not here. There was a nice mention from DB earlier. I hope he turns up again. True Crime Audit. DB does some awesome work in this space as well. And Brooklyn is here. Everybody in jail is innocent. Okay, Brooklyn. Righto. Okay. So, and Half Irish is here. And Rachel too. Good to see you. All right. So, I don't know if hey Brooklyn, I don't know if you're making fun or not, but some people do think that I think everyone is innocent, and that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Hey Hammy, how are you? How are you? That's not true at all. But this man, Rick Allen, I've thought this whole thing was sus from the beginning. And then when the facts started to come out, it became really quite clear that there was something very odd going on. And then when the trial happened, it just didn't make sense. And I don't want to try and influence anybody to think that he's innocent, but I do want to try and open people's eyes to the fact that there was so much reasonable doubt in that trial that this conviction is incorrect. It is absolutely incorrect. Brooklyn, what do you think of the Luigi perp walk? Well, that was from a movie, wasn't it? That was from a movie. Hey, AG Biochemist, how are you? Good to see you. Less Hello, more T-Bone. He's coming. He'll be here in a minute. J-Rock, he'll be here in a minute. And now you're calling him T-Bone. Okay, so you're happy with that, are you? All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at the press conference that occurred straight after the sentencing on Friday. So here's the deal, guys. Let's just put this in perspective. So there's been a gag order on this case for years, right? And the judge involved, Judge Gull, lots of questions over her bias or lack thereof in this case, but she's put a gag order on this case, all of the evidence, everything for years and no one's been allowed to speak. There was a leak of the crime scene photos a year or so ago from the defense's side. Now, apparently it was an administrator who did that, not the actual lawyers themselves. The lawyers were removed, so that's Baldwin and Rosie, they were removed from representing Richard Allen, and they fought back. They wanted to represent him and they were reinstated. Now, the prosecutors were very upset about that, about the leaking of the crime scene photos. It's a horrible thing for photos of children in that state to be put out there. But they say that it wasn't them who did it. It happened, it's done, and Mr. Allen has a right to be defended robustly. So that all happened, but there wasn't any opportunity for this to all be hashed out in the public. This is their chance. On Friday, that was their chance. All right, so finally, the prosecution, the cops, everybody involved on the state side got to have their little rant about how terrible that was and how their feelings were so hurt by how everybody was saying that they were corrupt and mean and not nice to Mr. Allen and how they didn't give him a fair go. All these things that they wanted to say all along, they finally got to say it. They finally got to say it on Friday because their fifis were so hurt. Well, I tell you whose fifis were hurt. Mr. Allen stuck in solitary confinement for 13 months being fed Haldol, which will give you like a chemical lobotomy, till his eyes were rolling back in his head. He was starved, he was tortured, he was tased. That man had not been convicted of anything, and that is what they did to him without blinking an eyelid. That's what they did to him. He went from a healthy man to a skeleton before our eyes. We saw him walk out for a hearing one day, surrounded by a battalion of cops. So it was just like it was like he was it was like the perp walk. It was like the Luigi perp walk. And he was this tiny little skeletal man, and he'd just been broken. And we find out that he had made these confessions in that state. Now, we're going to hear today from some of the people who are responsible for that. And those are the confessions that the jury heard, and I'm guaranteed that's why they convicted him, because he confessed 61 times. 61 times. Hey, Fondian, BG, when we refer to BG, that's Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy was not RA. The photo proves it. BG was 5'8", 6, and the photo proves that. Yeah, okay. So in my opinion, Bridge Guy, the whole Bridge Guy thing was a big distraction. It was a big distraction so that the jury would not focus on the crime scene, because the crime scene tells a story. The story in the crime scene is not of a man who got spooked by a van and quickly murdered some girls and then ran away. Because that is what he said in his confessions. He said that in his confessions. And the crime scene shows meticulous planning. It shows actually some sticks or branches that had been sawn off, very clearly sawn off. Abby's blood was drained somewhere else because it wasn't there. She was cleaned up and then her clothes were changed. She was wearing the clothes of her friend, and her friend was there naked. Who does that in a hurry? Who does that? Because they're spooked. Nobody. Right? So if you overlay his confession of being spooked by a van with what was seen at the crime scene, it makes no sense. So what the actual prosecution put forward as their own evidence leaves this huge amount of reasonable doubt. It just doesn't align. It doesn't. So without any of the theories of onanism, without any of the third-party culprits, just with the information given to the jury, this bridge guy thing, it's a complete distraction. They don't need to hear about bridge guy. But they're so focused on noticing whether bridge guy looks like him and sounds like him and who's bridge guy. And if you can accept bridge guy is the guy, if you can accept bridge guy as Richard Allen, then you can accept he's the killer. No, it doesn't matter, because his own words don't align with the crime scene. Don't look at the crime scene. There's nothing to see here, guys. There's nothing to see here. There is so much reasonable doubt. So much. And I really fully believe this, that the people who are supportive of this verdict and the jurors themselves, they truly do not understand the concept of beyond a reasonable doubt. Because there's that, Pokemon. There's that, right? And the people who have made it their life's work to convict this man, we're about to see in this press conference, I know they know. I know they know they've got the wrong guy. They know. Because they've just done everything possible to make squares fit into circles. Everything possible. And it's disgusting. Right? It's disgusting. And I'm now going to say thank you for some gifted memberships. Evie, you're amazing. I love you. 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so, so much. And I'm going to bring in Ilya now. Hello. How are you? And you're muted.
You muted me. You muted me.
I know I muted. I muted you because you were making noises backstage.
No, I was going to turn my mic off, but then you just did a premature muting. My God.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Did you give some memberships too?
Yes, one whole one.
A whole one? Thank you so much. And thank you for the gifted membership. Evie has been so generous lately. She gave 5 yesterday or 10 or something. I don't know. I can't even keep up with how many she's been giving. 20 from J-Rock. Oh, J-Rock. See, I take back what I said about you.
Kind of made my, yeah, we were talking a lot about you. Very all negative.
I actually love J-Rock.
Same.
We have lots of fun with J-Rock. Thank you so much. That is really sweet of you. Merry Christmas to you and to your puppies, your family. You're awesome, and you've been a great friend this year. And you're awesome. You're awesome fun to have japes with. Japes and scrapes. Really appreciate the support, J-Rock. So, guys, what do you think? Because here's the deal, right? Like, when I weigh in on this, generally what happens is people say, oh, you're just an Australian, you don't understand our system. Yesterday I got put into a group on X called Tinfoil Hat Nutters. As time goes on, because he's been found guilty, those of us who believe that he is innocent or that this just wasn't a fair trial are being more maligned by the rest of society. So this is going to happen, and I'll tell you right now, you need to stick to your guns. If you believe this, it's going to be tricky, right? And it's happened before. So with the Zach Anderson case, because as time goes on, less people are around who watched it and who saw it and care, right? So in order to keep the momentum up, you got to be strong. Like you've got to remember what happened, and you've got to be ready to stand up to the people who are out there going, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Why are you standing up for this murderer? He's a child murderer. That's disgusting. You're just as evil as him. Just in the last 24 hours, I've been facing all of that stuff, and I'm sure if you're out there in the comment sections, it'll be happening to you too. But when you watch the press conference, it's so weird. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Trust the police, talk to police, super guilty Richard. Yeah. All right, okay. Let's go, guys. Let's go. I just made a new layout for this. Where is it? No, not that one. That one. And go.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Buckle up, buckaroos.
Yeah, buckaroos. Okay, so that there is Libby's granddad.
Diabetes? Oh. I didn't know. Okay. Sorry. I did not know that was family.
Yep. Careful with the jokes. Did warn ya. All right. Okay. So just this young fella introduces everybody, but we'll have a quick listen to the granddad first. Let's go.
I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, Mike Patty.
Thank you, Jeremy. I don't have a nice speech all prepared. It was kind of a last minute thing here, but I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see this, that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded and objective and was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict. For that, I will always be grateful. The community. This community has embraced our families from day one and continues to lift us up and support us. And again, for that, I'll always be grateful. I want to thank them. To the investigative team and the prosecution, thank you for staying steadfast and continuing to work towards this. It's been almost 8 years coming. If I live to make it 80, it'll almost be 10% of my life has been spent working on this. And to the judge, I want to thank her as well for her steadfast, staying on course, staying on track, and helping us get through this. Thank you very much. Tony?
Good morning.
Okay, so let's just, all right. I'm glad that didn't go for too long. He's thankful to all of them for just getting someone put away, clearly. I mean, and he's drunk their Kool-Aid. I don't have anything against this man. I don't have any, sorry, not the man on screen. That's Tony Liggett. I've got something against him, right? But I don't really have anything against the families. I just feel like they have been sold this story by all of these people that he's the guy. We got him. Yay. We'll get him put away for a long time. Yay. Awesome. You'll have peace. Fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, sadly, their children did not look into Richard Allen's eyes before they passed. It's the wrong guy. And that's really sad. But anyway, this is Tony Liggett. And I believe that he was actually going for election at the time that Richard Allen was arrested. Isn't that interesting? Shock and horror.
That never happens.
No, it never happened. So Tony Liggett ran for the position of sheriff in the 2022 elections, and it was very tight too. Very tight too. He won the Republican primary against former Sheriff Lee W. Hord and Deputy Mike Thomas. Yeah, so he's had a few investigations against him, but they've all been dropped. Yes, Tony Liggett. Just a lovely fella.
They've all been dropped. Don't you know?
Yes. Isn't it interesting? Let's keep going, shall we? Let's see what he has to say.
If we must.
Remember, the gag order also has just ended. So this is their moment.
The end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017 completely changed the fabric of Carroll County. We lost 6 beautiful young girls, and all of that happened within a 6-month time span. My office
So there
is
was
not a part of the
another incident, the Flora incident. It's a separate one. So
investigation into the Flora fires. That's being headed up by the state police. We would do anything that they would ask for us to do, and I know they're working extremely hard on that case as well. Carroll County is a tight-knit community, about 20,000 people. It used to be a place where people didn't lock their doors. I believe that the verdict and the sentencing will help ease some of that sense of security for the people of Carroll County. The people who live here are very resilient. I think you can see that just in the families, the Germans, the Patties, the Williams. Carroll County is an amazing place to live, to work, to raise your family. I want to thank all of the people of Carroll County and the families for their patience during this investigation. I keep hearing the word closure. People are coming up to me saying, I bet that you're glad that there's finally closure. There will never be any closure in this case. The Germans and the Williams family lost their daughters, their granddaughters, their siblings.
Okay, hang on a minute. Would you mind?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Just a little bit of Aussie internet problemo. I will have my good friend here take over. So, yeah, this Flora fire thing, 4 girls gone. And yes, I have heard that there are ties to owners in the area in regard to that. And yeah, I am looking into that one. I'm thinking about doing some streams on that in the new year. Thank you, Fonyin.
Okay, I'm going to take over the video.
Dali's just taking over the video. Thank you.
Check on your internet while this plays.
Yeah, I will, yeah.
Libby back. These families will live every day without 2 of the most important people in their lives. They're missing milestones because of a low-life coward decided to take their innocent lives. They did not deserve this. Today is not closure. It is just turning the page and starting a new chapter. My heart is and always has been broken for these families. I want them to know that we stand with them, and I want to apologize to them that it took 8 years for us to get to this point. This case was quite the undertaking for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. There are so many people that put a lot of time in assisting us with bringing it to a conclusion. You see a lot of them right here, and there are many that aren't standing up here. There are so many agencies to thank for standing by our side. Just to give you an idea of the support that we had just for the trial, we had 36 outside agencies help us for just the security during the trial. On the afternoon of February 14th, at least that many came to help us investigate this case. Everyone from detectives down to dispatchers to help investigate or just answer phones. I remember a conversation after we found the girls with Jerry Holman about whether or not we were going to take the case or Indiana State Police were going to take the case. Well, it was not my decision. It was not my decision, but I knew we didn't have the resources needed to do this on our own. Holman made a commitment that if we took the case, ISP wouldn't leave us and they would stand by our side and provide any of those resources that we needed, and they did just that. Tobe Lesenby was the sheriff at the time, and he asked ISP to stand with us. I want to thank Doug Carter and the rest of the Indiana State Police for being
Carter.
with us during this time.
Great dude.
The reason justice was served today was due to one person, a person that only knows how to give. She has given herself literally for free to this investigation in different ways since about March of 2017. Kathy.
Yeah?
What?
Oh, I thought you said... You have a rant?
No. Okay. So guys in chat, I don't know about this woman, right? There's this woman, her name's Kathy something, and apparently she's been working with the police for free since 2017, like tiktoking and like photocopying and looking up transcripts and all sorts of stuff. TikTok is crap. Yeah, I never heard of her. This is like, what's this? What's this woman? What's she doing? Why is she allowed to see stuff? Like, there's a gag order. What's she doing? Who is this citizen who's just allowed to be there working? What, is she working in the law enforcement office? She's Kathy Shank, yeah. She's the one who found the Richard Allen Whiteman. She found a tip. Yeah, lots of people found tips, but they're not allowed to, like, work with law enforcement.
Yeah.
This is very strange. I'm just, like... Is this, like, something that is only coming out now because the gag order's lifted? Or have people known about this woman all along? She was basically clerical there. Yeah, but that means that she's got access to all of this information that people aren't supposed to have unless they're cleared.
She probably was cleared to work. They do have, like, what's it called? People who come in to volunteer their time to investigate or do things like that. I know Los Angeles is trying to, has moved their unsolved cases to kind of a retired detectives and stuff like that, so they basically don't have to pay them as much.
Femme Natal, everyone knew about Kathy Shank. Well, I missed that one. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I've been following this for just over a year. Just before the Frank's motion came out, so about 3 months before that. And yeah, I've never heard of this. Never heard of this. They talked about Kathy Shank during the trial. Yeah, it just didn't add up for me that she was working with them.
Yeah.
So
volunteer.
I remember a Kathy. It blows my mind that this is a citizen who is working with the police and has been since 2017. Wow.
Yeah.
It's their true crime unit. It seems quite strange. She has brought up during trial for sure. I might have missed that bit. Like, it was obviously many hours of streams of Andrea's that she was covering. So it's quite possible that I missed that bit. But yeah, I find it very odd. Does anyone else find this odd? Because there's a gag order on. Work is a strong word when all she does is volunteer and feed them. Like, what kind of daycare is that? That's funny, Hammy. She was the one who discovered the notes labeled Richard Allen Whiteman instead of Richard Allen, who lives on Whiteman. It doesn't say much for these people, does it? That they need an old lady to come and do their work for them.
So she was organizing the tips that were given to the defense, and they were a mess. She was a retired CPS worker. So she should have known better. So it sounds like she was there to kind of obfuscate some of the...
It was deliberate.
So she was obfuscating. I mean, that's unfortunately a pretty common tactic that the police do when they turn over discovery.
Yeah, it's super odd, no question. This is so interesting. And yeah, and then they go and just publicize it at the press conference like this. Like it's no biggie. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Here's this old lady who's just been doing all our work for us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, old lady.
I mean, it's pretty.
Okay.
I mean, that's not unsurprising that they would use like retired.
Oh my God. What if this woman is tied
I
to
don't
the
know.
Odinist thing? Oh, it's possible.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I don't know if Freemasons are tied in with this.
They are.
Are they?
Yes. Yes, Nick McLeland. Yes. Yes, Nick McLeland and Brad Holder are both. They're both part of the Freemasons. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 100%.
Okay.
Yes, Nick is a Freemason. Yes. Yes, you must have missed that stream.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, 100%. So,
Yeah.
oh my God. Imagine if, like, her husband or something is, like, part of this.
Yeah.
Oh,
God,
wow.
The state is
And
so
Carter
weird.
is also one. Yeah.
Indiana is so weird. Or
Oh,
this county.
okay. We so need to look into this. Hella, there's an interview with Kathy Shank right after the sentencing.
Oh God.
Okay, we'll see if we can find it. Thank you. This is like a whole can of worms we need to
I
look
know.
into.
Carry on.
Okay, let's go. Yep.
Shank, while filing, scanning, organizing, found a tip that led us to be here today. Throughout this investigation, especially when things happened during the month, for things that happened during the month of 2017, that was a time when Kathy was not helping us. When she would come across something that she didn't know, she would always bring that to an investigator. And every time that she brought us something and said, "Did you know this?" We knew it, except for the tip that she brought us that got us here today.
Okay.
I'm so sus on this woman.
That is so weird.
To borrow a term I believe was started by Becky Patty, a saying that meant enough to me that I had it on a sticker on my computer, in my car, and on my refrigerator at home. The goal was actually to be able to say the words, and they ring true. There is zero doubt that justice has been served, and today is the day. Thank you.
Sheriff
Zero
Liggett,
doubt.
addressing the media and
Fat liar. How could it... Zero doubt my ass. Do you want to fast forward through his little soliloquy?
Does it continue?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Of course
Close.
they interrupt it.
Yeah, yeah, they interrupted.
Why
it.
wouldn't they interrupt it?
Yeah, of course they interrupted. These MFs.
It's not like we want to watch it.
Okay.
I decided
All right, here we
walking in here
go.
that I wasn't going to read them.
Here we go. Carter. Now, Carter, this is the biggest coat right now. So get ready. Get your coat. Get your coats on.
Do we hear from Glory?
All right, let's go.
John Perrine reminded me that 2,866 days ago, this entire thing began.
Oh God.
I didn't know what I would think, and I didn't realize today we were going to be walking into the same room where many of you were, I believe, in, again, from memory, April of 2019 or that time frame. And over the course of these last many years now, several of us, me included, have been mocked and ostracized for our emotion, for our inability to answer questions that you might ask, and the thought that we're something other than human beings.
Well, I still have that thought, sir.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny? I don't want to put words in Andrea's mouth because I was looking for the stream where she said it. But there was one day that she came on the stream and she said something about that she's, and all the time that she's defended criminals or potential criminals, there's been very few times that that there's been one who's been like a monster in human skin, right? And then today she saw some and they were on the prosecution side, right? Yeah, like they made it, the people that she saw made her skin crawl, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but I remember that day, and it was the day that these guys were there to testify. And it was Jerry Holman, who's in the back, and it might have been Carter, but yeah, the law enforcement contingent, they're sort of standing behind him. Guys in chat, do you remember that? And so it kind of was interesting to me that he's referring to being something other than human, being mocked and called something other than human. Yeah. And he couldn't respond. Oh well, now's his chance. Let's go. Suffer.
I am, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I often say I wish people could see what goes on behind the scenes, and not just with people dressed like me, but citizens of this county and of this city. It's amazing acts of unbelievable courage and self-service and self-sacrifice. I wish you all could have been in the courtroom today and heard the victim impact statements.
Welcome.
I'll always remember them. And I hope you'll get the transcripts.
Me too.
And read what was said and try and understand the context of those words, even though you weren't in the courtroom. Over the course of these last many years, there have been many investigative strategies. Any notion of a cover-up, any notion of us deciding the outcome of this, any notion of any connection to anything else is not correct. It's not correct.
No cover-up.
I've never been a detective in my entire lifetime.
Scout's honor.
But I get to represent some of the best on the planet Earth. And I listened to them intently. And when they made strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job was to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them. The gag order. We lived by that. We lived by that gag order. The defense did not. And it cost a human life. Anybody that shares those photographs of those two little girls should be held accountable.
They didn't share.
Whether they're in the public sphere, whether they're emailed to you, whether you found them in a place you didn't want them to see. I hope that if you ever see them, you'll picture your own children as Abby and Libby. I'll never forgive that. I will never, ever forgive that. We lived by the gag order. Documents were released from the defense.
Do you want to say something?
Oh, he's an asshole. Like, he's totally trying to turn this thing around and make it all about the leak of those crime scene photos. Like, that is the worst thing that could ever possibly happen. We didn't torture an innocent man. No, that didn't happen.
No.
That didn't happen. No.
You didn't drive a guy insane and to the point he was, eating his own feces.
Yeah, that didn't happen. No, that's just prison. Like, people adjust.
Yeah.
That shit
it
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
You eat a turd or two.
Nothing to see here. But the leak of the crime scene photos, that was all on them.
Yeah.
Right? So, and let's just all focus on that, shall we? Let's just completely focus on that and the fact that we didn't do that. Right? Fuck.
Wait, so the guy who stole the photos unalived himself?
Yeah, there was a.
So that's what he's referring to.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a suicide as a result. But there was. Do we want to talk about Greg Ferenczi, the FBI agent who didn't go along with their narrative and somehow ended up in a 6 foot under? Do we want to talk about that? Because there are other people who have fallen as a result of their investigation, actually. But no. Yeah, he didn't bring that up. Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
That drove a public narrative that many of you talked about. And damn it, I wish I could have responded. But I was not going to violate what Judge Gall said. So they were able to get these documents out there and create a public narrative that you and many others, many of you, and many others believed around the globe. Baldwin and Rossi are responsible for that, not this team. The family effects, I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives and how they've been forever changed, how they'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis by the name of Guy Relford. And I heard Guy on the radio after the verdict when a lot of hate mail came, death threats came. And I heard Guy Relford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense, they could see the state, they could see the witnesses, feel the emotion. And they could see Richard Allen. I'd never thought about that perspective because we have a singular view most times. You, me, it's human nature. Judge Gall was the keeper of the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors.
How about the defendant?
And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of a human being. That's what our founders.
How about the defendant? It is Indiana versus Richard Allen. It's his trial. The person who matters is the defendant. The most important person is the defendant. Goodness me. That is so disrespectful.
Yes.
Goodness. Just... He couldn't give a shit, could he?
No.
He could not give a shit. From the moment Richard Allen was arrested, he was just a piece of dirt. That was all he was. He was nothing. He was just a fall guy. Right from that moment. It's like, right, we've got an arrest, that's it. And it was all about winning. Absolutely all about winning. That's all he cared about. Let's get him convicted. Done. However, whatever it takes to get this man convicted, we will do it. That's it. Let's keep going. Thank you.
Had established. And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you can ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do and what we shouldn't, and understand that their words have consequences to other human beings.
Oh, his feelings got
I
hurt.
appreciated Guy's perspective, and it changed my view of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew. We live in a country where people can hate. People can say things about other people. And that's okay. Hate me. It's okay. Because it's one of the only countries in the world where you can.
Oh, jeez.
So hate me if you want to.
Okay.
The investigative
We hate
conduct
you.
is something that I'll remember
Okay.
for the rest of my
I
life.
will.
For the rest of my life. There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we could ever do that. We are human beings, and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong when we did it.
What?
I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar.
So you can gag. Sir, don't mention gagging a bunch and then
Jerry
talk
Holman
about
gave the
giving
last
on
8
your...
years of his life
Okay, pause.
to something much greater.
That was so gay. Right? Like, could that be any more gay? I would crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Can we watch that again, please?
Dude. Phrasing.
What? Crawl on your knees?
But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong when we did it. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar.
Okay, pause. Please. Okay. He admitted to lying on the stand. Right? He admitted to lying. He admitted to using the Reed technique, which includes lying. He admitted to saying things that weren't true to Richard Allen in order to try and get a confession out of him. So to say that he's not a liar is lying. So how many liars does that make? Two. That's you. That's you. And why are you crawling around on the ground for him?
That's
You
a little
idiot.
odd.
It's very strange.
Okay, well, he wants to get that Holman.
He does want to get that Holman. What the hell? I've never seen anything like this.
It is very peculiar.
It's so weird. It's like he clearly... Okay, they've been saving this up for so long. They've been so mad.
I know.
Right? Imagine how mad they've been. Like, they've been watching the streams.
I'm sure.
They legit have been watching the streams going, I can't believe she said that. That's so mean. You're not a liar. You're such an honorable man. I'd crawl across the ground for you. Let me crawl now.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what he'll do right after.
Yeah.
Oh my
What's
God,
up?
this guy is insufferable.
Yeah.
I sent you the link
Oh.
for you to take over.
Oh.
And hey, Sleuthy Goosey.
Sleuthy's here. Oh, Sleuthy. You know what's funny? I saw someone say on X that they were actually referring to you and Bob, I think. But nah, they never mentioned you. They never mentioned you. So just what time are we up to?
I thought I sent it to you at that time, but 1725.
Oh, okay. That's
Her
fine.
internet should be better now.
Yeah, my internet's fine. 1725. Cool, alright. Play.
Jerry Holman gave the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We fussed with each other throughout the course of this in conclusion. We argued with each other. I remember Tobe and I had an argument right here in this other room in April of 19. As you should expect us
You
to.
remember the day?
There was no groupthink. We debated each other, as you should expect us to.
What's that got to do with anything?
But then the defense spins that into incompetence. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous nonsense for Baldwin
They hurt
and
my
Rousey to have done
fee-fees.
that. And finally, most importantly, to the Delphi community and to the family of Abby and Libby. Words cannot possibly explain what we all feel. But what Nick McLeland did and the rest of the team that was associated with this, every single time it was about something other than themselves. It was about this community and that family. And we owe them a debt of gratitude that can never possibly be repaid. How about we start to heal now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served, and if you don't like justice in this country, go to another one. Let's heal.
Heal,
Tone down the
doggies.
rhetoric. Stop all the politics and all the nonsense and all the conspiracy theories, and understand that we all tried the best we could. That should be the message to us and to our kids and to this most amazing place we call the United States of America.
Well, I'm amazed.
Well done. Thank you all.
Are you freaking for real? If you don't like it, move to another country. Right? Justice has been done. Let's all just heal now. So stop it, basically. Stop asking questions, everybody. Everyone should be happy with that. Just stop. Be happy. If you're not happy with it, move to a goddamn other country.
Yeah, just move to Canada.
What the fuck is that? That was bullshit. And also, have you ever seen a press conference after a sentencing like that? Like, have you ever?
No,
No.
that was very personal.
That was so... Oh, I'm so mad. All right, so now we're going to hear from the prosecutor. So this is Nick McLeland, and
Jesus.
he's pretty
Good
pleased with
morning.
himself.
Can we all just have a little bit of a sigh of relief that this thing is over finally? The convictions come
over.
in. We got the verdict. We got the sentence, 130 years in the Department of Corrections. And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me to say that this part of the trial is over, that we got the conviction, that we got the sentence that brings justice for Abby and Libby. A few of the things I am going to say are going to echo what Sheriff Liggett said, what Superintendent Carter said, and what Mike Patty said. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank some people along the way. Law enforcement, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Indiana State Police, Department of Natural Resources, all the agencies that assisted in this investigation and the prosecution of the defendant, I want to thank. They were attacked by members on the internet for their integrity. They were called corrupt. They were called evil. And they were called liars.
Yeah.
And they weathered that storm with professionalism and did what they could to be a shield for the families. Spent countless hours chasing down leaks of crime scene photos, countless hours attempting to scrub the internet of those crime scene photos, and countless hours trying to protect the family as best as they could. And so to them, ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, DNR, the other agencies that assisted, thank you. We would not be here today if it were not for your efforts and your countless hours that you sacrificed away from your family and your friends to give us the evidence that we needed to get the conviction.
To make up the
I want
evidence
to thank
they
my
needed.
team, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell. There is no way I could have tried this case without them. We spent countless hours working on this case, away from our families, away from our friends, and no one will understand the heart and the effort that they poured into this. So thank you. I want to thank Kathy Shank. She kept us well fed. She was the grandmother of our office, if you will. She made sure that whatever we needed, she took care of, and she never complained. And without her, we would not be here.
Sorry, I was muted. Sleuthy in chat, do you know much about this Kathy Shank woman? I need to do some deep diving on her because, like, it blows my mind that she's been like, she's had all of this information. She's been exposed to all of this information by the prosecution since 2017, and for example, like, does her family have any Freemasons in it or anything like that? I should. Yeah. She called herself an investigator. She's just a citizen, right? Like, she's just poked her nose in. I want to know what's going on with her. Is she covering up for somebody?
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sleuthy, have you done any work looking into her? I'm just wondering, because I just think to have somebody just walk in off the street and have involvement in this, and she supposedly found Richard Allen. She gave the tip that brought Richard Allen in.
Yeah.
Like any or like any connection to Brad Holder or any of the third-party suspects. That's what I'm wondering. Yes, we should definitely look. I'm so sus on her.
Without her countless hours of going over filings, of scanning in documents, of looking at reports, and having the wherewithal to bring this to the attention of Sheriff Liggett, to say, hey, I haven't seen this before. Has anybody followed up with this person? Without her, we would not be here. Without her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence. She was the key part to this investigation. The needle in the haystack, if you will, that brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest.
What? She's friends
Kathy
with the Patties?
Shank, I thank you. And finally, the family. The Williams, the Germans, the Patties. Thank all you guys. The support you gave me throughout this. Those times when I said you had to abide by the gag order, that you wanted to respond to the things that were being put out there, the allegations against you, against your family members, that you respected me to the point where you were willing to agree to abide by that gag order for the betterment of the case. The fact that you supported me throughout it, and I know there may be times you doubted, but you endured. And without your help, we wouldn't have got the conviction. And without your victim impact statements and the graceful words that you gave to the court about how this has influenced your lives, we wouldn't have got the sentence that we got. 130 years, maximum sentence on each count. And so I thank you. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Abby and Libby themselves. Libby for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone
I'll have a look.
and record that individual, having the wherewithal to know that something wasn't right. Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killer. And then to Abby for hiding the phone from the killer so that he couldn't take it with him, hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected. Without the efforts from those two little girls, we wouldn't be here today. So Abby and Libby, thank you. I want to say we're very happy with the jury's verdict. We're elated with the judge's ruling, or not the judge's ruling, the judge's sentence. The sentence is appropriate. As Judge Gall stated in court, the aggravators outweighed the mitigators, and the heinous nature of this crime deserve a fully executed sentence. I'll end with this. I want to thank the media for keeping this case in the forefront, for keeping the tips coming in for us to investigate. But I will leave you this word of caution. Please, as Superintendent Carter said, the crime scene photos are still out there, and more may be out there in the future. please, if you receive those, delete those. Don't forward those on. Don't re-victimize the family and the other family members. You can write whatever story you want and report however you want. You do not need those crime scene photos to do so. All it does is re-victimize the families and hurt the reputation of Abby and Libby. So please, if you get those, do not forward those on. If you get any other crime scene photos or autopsy photos or anything, don't forward those on. As Superintendent Carter said, imagine if they were your kids, your grandkids. You can write a story without having those pieces as part of the narrative. So please, do not forward those on. I want to thank the community finally. Everybody in the community locally has supported my office, supported law enforcement. The show of support from them has been just unforgettable. I appreciate everything everyone's done. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate the handshakes, the support, everything that everybody's done throughout this course of the 8-year investigation. When this investigation started, I was actually a defense attorney. I ran for the prosecutor's office in January 1st of 2018, and I knew coming into that office that this case was one that I would have to investigate. And I made it one of my goals not only to investigate it, but to get an arrest, have the trial, and get a conviction.
Oh, get a
And all the support I
conviction.
had throughout that time, I appreciate it. And so, as
Not
Trooper
the right
Pierce
guy.
said, I'm going to answer a few questions. The gag order is lifted. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody
Yeah, funny how he doesn't
say the right
afterwards
guy.
if they want to talk to you. But I will take a few questions here and now.
That is so telling.
McLeland, the prosecutor in this case.
Hang on.
Going to answer some
I think there's some
questions. We're going
questions.
to listen to those questions and answers
Yeah, blah, blah,
right
blah.
after this break. Stay with us.
How we doing, guys? We're
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Come on.
Die. And so it's very
Orders. Let's listen.
Yes, listen.
not easy. It's hard to put yourself in their shoes because I've never had a child die. And so it was very difficult. It took a lot of phone calls, text messages, meetings. A lot of it was, hey, try not to read that stuff that you see on the internet, which is easier said than done. But a lot of it was just moral support and leaning on each other to say, we can't violate the gag order. Let's keep our eye on the ball. We need to get the trial, and we want to try to get the conviction, and then we can talk. And so it was just a lot of words of encouragement between each other, moral support, text message, phone calls, those kind of things.
What was your,
Go ahead.
what happened with Ms. O'Jay at the end of the hearing? What was that fight about?
It wasn't a fight. She was just commenting about some things that were said at sentencing, and I'm just going to keep those things to myself.
That's in your face, though. That's not a fight.
Well, I don't know if she got up in my face. I'll just keep those things to myself. She was just commenting on things that were said at the sentencing. Yes, ma'am.
The defense has made it clear they plan to appeal. Your thoughts on their chances?
Well, it's not up to the defense. It's up to the defendant. I'm not going to repeat his name. He's the defendant at this point. And so he has 30 days to file notice with the court that he wants to appeal. If he doesn't file that notice, then there is no appeal. And so once he files that notice, we'll
He's
deal
already
with it
done it.
accordingly. We'll work with the Attorney General's office to represent the state, and we'll give them whatever support that they need in order to draft a response to that appeal.
But I guess given all the questions, and you've all addressed it up here and how frustrating it was, your confidence in the security of this verdict and in this maximum sentence?
I feel confident in the verdict and the sentence. But again, I'm not on the Court of Appeals, so they'll have to make that decision. If
No,
it comes
you're
to
not.
Sorry, Miss-
Part of 2023, and one of the very first pretrial hearings, you addressed the court and said there's possibly some other actors involved. Can you elaborate?
Well, at this point, we don't believe any other actors are involved. We don't have any evidence to support that. If evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate that. We're not going to say, hey, no, we got the conviction. We're not listening to what you have to say. But at this point, we have no other evidence showing that any
Bullshit.
other actors were involved. If Richard Allen himself, the defendant, wants to come forward and give us more information, we'll gladly accept that.
Is that the reasoning for the amended charges?
The amended charges were we added the 2 counts of intentional murder. I did that because I thought it was appropriate at the time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you tell us more about the Anthony Shank?
Hold on just a minute. Do you have a question?
Yeah, can you tell us more about the asking to speak on behalf of other people? How it makes you feel with the guilty verdict and the sentence? Obviously, it's the outcome you guys wanted, but how does it make the entire thing feel to get to where we are today?
I think, I hate to speak for everybody, but I
Can
think
someone ask a good question?
I hate to be cliche and use the word justice, but justice, vindication, to show that these people standing behind me weren't liars, weren't corrupt. Those hate mails and hate messages continue to come in from some podcasters, some YouTubers. But I think just justification that, okay, we conducted a clean investigation, we presented the evidence as best we could, and the jury were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty. Yes.
Wait, those YouTubers! Those nasty, nasty YouTubers. May you all rot.
Yes. Evil.
You are all evil. Except Nancy Grace.
Yes.
Who is a YouTuber, by the way.
She's a hottie biscotti.
Yeah. Because she was all like, those YouTubers.
Those YouTubers.
She's actually a YouTuber.
I know.
Yeah.
Now mean that all the other men are cleared? Can you use that word?
Who is all the other men?
The other men that were looked at during the course of the investigation.
The unknown DNA on the bodies.
Cleared.
Yeah.
Can you now say they're cleared?
I may not use that word cleared, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time.
Unknown male DNA.
In any other secondary investigation under
What do you mean looking into the Anthony Schatz profile?
You know that guy who said to meet them at the trails? That predator?
Well, it didn't fade it out. He was convicted of what, 34, 35 counts?
Oh, something else. That guy.
Not that we have any information of that right now.
Can you speak to the timing of today's sentence? Christmas is 5 days away. This is an emotional time of year for a lot
Sure.
of people and this kind of thing.
There's no significance in my mind to the timing. Once a person is convicted, they have a right to be sentenced within 30 days. And so I think the timing just was to try to get it in before the holidays because a lot of people do have time off and and the courthouses are closed. So there's no significance in my mind to the timing, but that it worked in everyone's schedule.
I just mean that it's the time of year when people are with people they love. These two little girls are not with their families today.
I'm not sure I understand your question, but regardless of the time of the year, I imagine it's hard for the family to not be with the victims any day, whether it's somebody's birthday or somebody's anniversary, the other holidays we have out throughout the year.
What about Kathy Allen?
Christmas is probably especially difficult. Again, I don't expect this verdict or the sentence to bring peace to the Patties, the Germans, or the Williams. I don't know what at this point could ever bring peace to a family member that loses a child or a parent that loses a child. What I hope is what I said. I hope it's a sigh of relief that this portion is over and that the conviction as it is now stands and that he's been sentenced to the maximum possible sentence. I hope that is a sigh of relief for them. And I hope that they now, like Superintendent Carter, can continue to heal and start to put this chapter behind them. That's why the plea to the media, please do not recirculate those pictures, because all that does, as Mr. Erskine said in his victim impact statement, it's like a scab or a wound that scabs over that is constantly ripped open. It's a constant reminder that our loved ones are put in this vulnerable position.
Nick, should people face criminal charges or any kind of charges if they do publish or share those pictures?
No.
My opinion is if the Indiana Code allows criminal charges to be pressed for those kind of thing, if something comes in my office, criminal charges will be pursued if the criminal code allows it.
No, there is none.
No. Well, he can ask some questions after we're done here. So
That's public information.
Unless it's sealed.
Unless it's sealed. And
That you guys were not able to.
I don't think it is.
I'm not going to concede that. No. Go ahead.
The judge spoke today to the defendant's conduct, specifically him rolling his eyes throughout
Sure.
the trial. Your take from your professional perspective in spite of the cases, I'm sure you've watched him throughout the case. What was your reaction to how he was acting?
It's hard for me to see him because the way we were seated, especially during the trial, we were kind of all crammed. We call it the well. We're kind of all crammed in there. So it's kind of hard for me to focus on him. And the way I try cases is I'm pretty focused on what I'm doing, and I try not to get sucked into the reactions of other people. I like to watch what the jury's reactions to certain things are. And so a lot of the stuff that she commented on, I didn't see from him. What I did notice from him is what I said in my sentencing recommendation, just the lack of remorse and the lack of regret
This gets me.
The lack of emotion, I guess, when the images of the victims are put up on the screen. You know, as a father, when I see those things, and you've probably seen me up here and other places, I get a little emotional about it, and it's hard not to. And so the lack of those things kind of struck me. I didn't see him roll in the eyes of the judge, of course, but obviously never a good thing to do. So those are my comments on that.
So hang on, I just have to mention that the judge apparently said that Richard Allen was rolling his eyes at some points during the trial. Right? Also that he showed no emotion. Especially when the crime scene photos were shown, right? That he looked at them and he didn't show any emotion. I have a big problem with this, right? Maybe he has a facial tic. Maybe his eyes were rolling back in his head like they did in that one video that was shown to the jury when he was on Haldol and his eyes went literally back in his head, right? So you can't tell from...
Or maybe he's doped up on some other type of medication that makes him not be able to react.
Yeah. Also, I know from watching lots of trials over the years that the defendant is generally instructed by their counsel to just stay flat. Like,
And
don't smile, don't cry, don't, like, do your best not to show emotion because you will be judged on it. So often they're told to, like, scribble or do things like that to occupy them because no matter what they do, it's going to be wrong.
And didn't this Putz say he was a defense attorney when this happened? So he should know all this. Yeah, he said he was a defense attorney when this happened, and he ran for the DA.
Yeah, and Ken's counselling coach, you're absolutely right. If he showed emotion, he's guilty. If he didn't show emotion, he's guilty. You cannot react in any way that benefits you. Absolutely not. There is nothing he could have done that would have been correct. He would have been seen to be guilty no matter what. I do not believe this eye-rolling thing, right? And I don't... Judge Gull, to me, is not the best person to be saying that or giving any body language analysis on Richard Allen. She's not been in any way an unbiased arbiter so far. So I couldn't give a shit, basically, what she says. It's garbage.
What do you think? What piece of evidence, really quick?
Just one more, then I'll be good. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Piece of evidence, like from his demeanor to any parts of your case, what piece of evidence do you think did it for the jury and then to also elicit this maximum sentence? What do you think got us here?
Oh, gosh, I don't know what did it for the jury. I think it was a culmination of everything that we had. I think once you start stacking that evidence against him and as it stacks up, it's hard to say that the defendant isn't bridge guy. And if you can accept that he's bridge guy, you can accept that he's the killer.
Oh,
and that to
gets
me is the bottom line. And so...
If you have a message for Richard Allen, you could talk to him face to face right now after all this has been said and done, what would you say to him?
I think I would just echo what the superintendent said and what Sheriff Liggett said and some of the things that were said by the victims' families at court. If he truly wants to apologize to the families and admit to what he's done, now's the time to do that. So.
Avatar.
Can you say today that Carroll County is safer than
Well, I'm not sure if she's real.
I believe so.
What steps have been taken to make it safer?
Well, I think it's safer in the sense that people can have that sigh of relief to say, okay, we got the guy, we got the conviction. And so I think in that sense, it's safer. I've always thought Carroll, I was born and raised here in Carroll County. I left, of course, to go to college and law school, but then I came back. And so this has always been my hometown. It's been my hometown for 3 generations or 4 generations in my family. And so I've always thought it's a safe place. And the things that Sheriff Liggett said, the thing that the victim said in the sentencing, that wasn't fluff, that we didn't lock our doors and that we knew everybody else. Those are true statements. This is a traditional, small, Midwestern town. And so I think it's always been safe. I think there can be that pressure off of people now to say, okay, I feel better. We got the guy, we got the conviction, and we know he's going to be in prison for 130 years. So, go ahead.
Any charges against
That'll be it for the questions today and for the press conference. I would just like to say thank you for all for coming out. As you go about your day, please.
Don't let your children out. I don't feel safe, guys. Don't feel safe. It's not safe out there. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And if this happens again, Nick McLeland should remember that he told people that they should feel safe. That asshole. Now, it's a 3-minute interview. I found this Kathy Shank woman. I'm sus. I am very sus on this lady. Let's see. What does she have to say? But she's pleased with herself.
Obviously, in the trial, I heard your testimony and the passion and the time, and I hear everybody else talking about the time, and even you being so humble.
Can you hear that okay?
Absolutely. What was it like for you to be a part of this? I mean, obviously, you talked about it in trial, about how you came back and you wanted to volunteer. Why was that so important?
I had worked with law enforcement my entire adult career for 40 years through Department of Child Services, through Child Protection. And I knew several of the law enforcement officers, the prosecutor at the time, Rob Ives. And when I learned of this, I contacted Rob and said I'd like to help.
And that is exactly what you did. I mean, so much. Your role, obviously, we know from your testimony, helping file and organize and do all the things that need to be done in order for an investigation to kind of stay organized, if you will, the organizational side of things. When you were moving offices and you opened up that drawer and you came across this box, what went through your mind? And where, obviously, we know where it ended, but what went through your mind?
When I found that, I realized that I had not heard of this person, and I went to the file drawer and found the actual file for Richard Allen Whiteman at that time, as it had been written. And I read the report that Dan Doolin had made after he had spoken with him. And I, as being an investigator, I had looked at some of the statements from the girls that said they had seen a person out at the bridge. And basically, I put the two and two together, took it to Tony, and we went from there.
Outside of this, you've been a member of this community for so long.
Absolutely, my entire life, yes.
What does it mean to you to be able to see all of this come to where we are today? One, misfought report, if you will, leads to all these years of work being able to pile together. We talk a lot about all the evidence just was able to stack up. And then the final pieces of, this is the guy. What is it like for you to see not only the guilty verdict on that day last month, but today to hear the sentence of 130 years?
The justice has been served. I mean, there was an amazing team that worked on this. I mean, Jerry and all of the state police and all the other agencies, and I have such high regard. And I guess what I can best say is I got back a lot more than I ever gave.
Obviously, you hear all these people talking about you, every person calling you out, thanking you.
It's very humbling, very humbling. I did it because I like to serve. I like to help people, and that's what I did.
And right place, right time, right?
I guess I basically call it divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
You were just there, open that drawer, you just so happened to be the person. Finally, last thing. Obviously, it went so long, so many people. I mean, 8 years almost.
How much is the reward money?
This community, like, please, we have all these things. We have video evidence of this suspect, and we still don't have the person. What was that like for you to be able to see law enforcement and investigators kind of finish putting that puzzle together after waiting for so long?
It was amazing. And it was, and I think I told Jerry it was a well-oiled machine. I couldn't believe I had worked up to the arrest in my former profession, but I had never seen this, and it was amazing what they did. And they just went into action and did what needed to be done, and here we are today.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. One more thing. So, I'm not going to go deep into this at the moment, but people keep referring to, especially in chat, not the people on screen, but in chat, there being some untimely deaths. along the way of this investigation. And this lady, Erica, sorry, I've gone blank for a second. She was an investigator for the defense, I believe, and she did a interview with Bob Motter. Someone help me in chat here, because my mind's got Merritt Morse. I had yesterday. Someone also reminded me Morse. I forgot again. She seemed like a badass. A badass. I'm just and Greg Ferenczi is the FBI agent that met an untimely death. But I just want to play this. Watch the court TV clip with Bob and Erica. I don't have that right now, Caleb, but I just wanted to show this. Hang on.
God damn it, how dare we? How dare we agree with the Federal Bureau of Investigation? They kicked him out.
They did.
If they could have kicked us out, oh wait, they tried. And they failed. They failed because we took this task on knowing we might not see a penny of this pay. Because, hey, let's just fiscally strangle the defense on a personal level on top of screwing them professionally. Let's make sure they can't pay their bills, too. And then go out and attack them for that. So they can all kiss it, as far as I'm concerned. We agreed with the work done by the FBI task force. It was good work, Bob. It was really thorough work. And then the timing of Greg Ferenczi being killed, and how quickly the FBI was dropped after his murder. I mean, I'm sorry if we are not saying this. Why are we not saying that the man who wrote the Odin memo was murdered 5 days after he wrote the Odin memo by an Odinist prison guard?
Huh.
Why is everybody afraid to say that?
Because they might get killed too. Right? Right?
Yeah.
And yes, someone earlier in chat asked, were the FBI dropped? Yes, that's what happens. Right? And there were 2 policemen, I believe, also, who, they weren't killed, but they were charged with some unrelated offenses because they didn't agree, they didn't, like, go along with the prosecution of Richard Allen, and they lost their jobs. So, guys, this is nuts. Dali Discord, apparently.
Let me check.
Yeah. I feel like Erica is the type to have a what? CCW permit. What's a CCW permit? I'm not American. What's that mean?
Oh, carry conceal permit for a weapon.
Yeah. Yes, she's hardcore, isn't she? I love her. But you're right. Like her life might be in danger. She could be in big trouble. And this is what it interests me now. What's going to happen, because this stuff starts to come out into the public forum, and people start to talk and put their names to it, and you can see how desperate the prosecution side is to keep it all quiet. Like, they're so upset from all the things that they just said in that press conference. That's the tip of the iceberg. They've been mad for a long time about this. And now they're like, okay, let's all be quiet. Let's all just heal. Don't forward on any photos. Everyone just be happy with that. We've got the conviction. Shut up, everybody. And they don't like the YouTubers. They don't like people talking. And someone like this comes out and starts to say, hey, someone died because of this. Not just someone, probably a few people. Right? She starts to bring up things like this. She's going to be in trouble. And then someone else is going to be in trouble. And then somebody else. So this is a big deal. Like, this could go into some nasty territory. You got the court TV interview with Bob and her. Hang on, where is it?
I can send it to you.
Okay. Cool. How long is it?
Whole thing is like 17 minutes. You can probably skip through some of it.
Okay, we might just watch a little bit of it. Alrighty, so let's go.
Yeah, you know how court TV is.
You know how court TV is. They tend to have little breaks and things. Oh, look at Bob. He's got the little Santa hat behind him. How cute. I mean, like, Bob could be in danger. He's been hanging around the defense, the defendant and the defendant's wife and the defense for years now.
Literally,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked with them, basically.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a little look, guys.
Diaries podcast was in the courtroom for the trial. Bob Mata, and private investigator, worked on the case for nearly 2 years, is close with Richard Allen's family. Erica Morse is with us. Thank you both for being here. Erica, it's been a while since I've talked to you about this case. So
Robin Hood,
let's talk about this case. Let's start first with Richard Allen. His wife, Kathy, wasn't there today, right?
No one from the Allen family attended. That was an ongoing discussion between Rick and his family for about the last 2 weeks, Vinny, as to whether or not they should go. And the decision was made that if Rick's advisement by the defense attorneys was to not participate in the pre-sentencing investigation report, and for good reason, that the family would stand with him in solidarity and not accept the verdict by refusing to show up. It is unfair to watch this family, or to ask this family to watch this man be sentenced for crimes he did not commit in a trial that has to be redone.
So, Erica, tell me, why do you believe he did not commit this horrific double murder?
Oh, well, Vinny, we only have, 20 minutes to talk about it tonight. The Frank's memo. Frank's memo, which was not a concoction of the defense team. It was a highly and very thoroughly investigated extension of a report created by an FBI task force who developed that theory. And the man who authored that report died at the hands of an Odinist prison guard 5 days after he turned that report in.
Boom.
Wait. Say that again?
Told you to tell you, Vinny. Bob, back me on this. Am I lying?
No, she's talking about Greg Ferenczi, who was one of the three authors of the Odin report that Click, Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy all put together because they continued that line of investigation for years until Greg Ferenczi was killed, and that was in front of the federal building shortly after he turned in that document.
Talking about.
Explain this to how is he killed? So the man who was killed was working for the FBI or was part of the task force? Who exactly was he?
He was one of the three members of the task force tasked with investigating all of the tips related, and I mean all of the tips related to a particular group of individuals. And Greg authored the report. It was turned in, I believe, on May 2nd. And he, on May 7th, was sitting in an office inside the federal building in, I believe it was Indy or Terre Haute. And a Molotov cocktail was thrown through his office window. Greg vacated his office, ran outside in front of the federal building. And that is when he was shot in the head by a former prison guard who is very openly tied to Odinism.
So was that prison guard arrested and prosecuted for this?
Yes, and charged, convicted. Yes, sir, he was. And this is one of the many details about the Delphi case that the state does not want the world to know. They don't want the world to know that Todd Click has been charged with unrelated crimes, another member of that task force. They don't want to know about the number of people associated with this case who have died or been charged, myself included. They don't want the world to know.
Wait, you've been charged with something now?
Yeah.
The blood, I got to be careful.
Right.
But the blood spatter expert who testified at the Delphi trial was at my home, alone, inside my home, 2 days before he testified in the trial. And Bob can attest to that. There's so much y'all don't know, Vinny. There's so much. People are scared. And then to have Doug and Dick sit there today and disparage us for the work we've done and talk about the transparency that they claim occurred in a case where there was none, where the defense team wasn't even allowed to present a case. Let's go. I'm ready. I told you I was going to talk starting the day the gag order was lifted. Let's do this.
Bob, what are you... I'm trying to make some sense of all this. So it seems like there's a big backstory here to the whole Odinism angle. And I just want to clarify this, right? So there's a task force that's part of law enforcement. And there's some members of this task force who had a different theory. They did not believe Richard Allen wasn't even on the radar yet for anyone. But they believed that the murder of these two girls was connected to some sort of Odinistic or Odinistic group ritual killing. And what you're telling me is that one member of that group who authored that report is no longer alive. Another one's been arrested for something?
Right before trial. Unrelated to the case, but
is he law enforcement or is she law enforcement? Like the people on this task force, were they law enforcement officers?
Oh yeah, these were all longtime cops. These were all decorated. I mean, just Google Greg Ferenczi. You'll see immediately this guy was highly respected. All of these cops were longtime cops. And that's kind of what we've been saying about, this concept of Doug Carter getting up there and casting shade on the defense for doing their job. Number one, let's just understand that it's their job. And everything that was in that Frank's memo that people on the Richard Allen is guilty, they created this whole narrative thing, the defense did side. I don't know if they just don't realize it. All of that came from the discovery tendered to the defense by the state. None of this was cooked up by the defense.
Right.
That exact report we're talking about was in the discovery. That report that we're talking about right now was in the discovery. Yep. So when they start talking to these cops, obviously Ferenczi wasn't there to talk to, but the defense called Click, deposed Click. They deposed Kevin Murphy or called Kevin Murphy. They were like, what is this all about? Does this thing have legs?
Wow.
I mean, everything that was in that Frank's memo.
Stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll discuss more of these explosive...
Guys, it's real. So, like, the Frank's memo, the one from September 2023, and I would recommend that you read it if you haven't read it. It's a bit of a long document, but there is a really good table of contents at the beginning. You can flick to whatever section that you want, but there are approximately 13, I think, separate third-party culprits that are mentioned in there. The Odinist aspect is explained in great detail. The way the crime scene is laid out is explained in great detail. You don't need to see the crime scene photos. The crime scene photos do help explain it, but it does explain in detail how the girls are laid out, how the sticks are laid out. There's diagrams and things. And this is what they're trying to say here, is they didn't just make it up. It came from the task force of the FBI and these two police officers who were just cast aside by the investigators like Liggett and Carter, etc. They didn't want anything to do with that. It was just all something that didn't fit in with their narrative. And I think that they were covering up. Believe that there is a pagan cult in LA. Yeah, I think there are. Well, here's the thing though, right? McLeland is a Masonic member, like he is part of the local Mason club, and so is Brad Holder, who is the father of the boy who was dating Abby. There are a lot of people who are involved in this local sort of club, right? So, and I don't think they're real Odinists, right? If you have Nick Starro on here, he will say to you that, like, because he's actually from Sweden, where Odinists come from, and it's very insulting to people who worship Odin and are truly part of this religion, because they're not violent people. But it's it's an offshoot. It's sort of an outlet where they can get involved in all sorts of nasty stuff and call it Odinism. And I believe that there are ties to the local Masonites as well. So yeah, Nick did some streams about a year ago on this, and I'm not sure if he's touched it much since because he was doing the YSL trial. But I did go back and have a bit of a look at them. He's commented on it a few times. So yeah, like drug running and trafficking, yeah, yes, but also these very strange rituals, right? And they're not secretive at all about it. Like they put them all over their social media. And in fact, the other thing that happened is they have like fans as well. So one of them, Elvis Fields, who is quite an important suspect, he's the one who said that if they find his DNA on the girls, it's because he spat on their bodies. Now, he actually recreated the Facebook page of Brad Holder. Brad Holder is the father of the boy who was dating Abby at the time, right? Yeah. Brad Holder, his Facebook page was full of pictures and I suppose
references,
poems and things like that, references to these Odinist rituals. There was even pictures of like people hanging off trees and things like that, which is sadly, it could be how Abby was drained of the blood and why she was lacking blood at that time. So there's just so many possibilities as to how those two girls ended up in that state. And yeah, Elvis Fields, I don't believe that he was properly investigated. His alibi is so sketchy. It's so sketchy. Also, the man who, Ron Abrams, the owner of the land where they were found, he's an important character in this. He apparently confessed to being involved as well. He died in 2020.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just so many people that could be involved in this. And then the actual law enforcement officers who are doing good work and investigating this, one of them, Molotov cocktail, and, and then the others charged with unrelated things and no longer needed in the police force.
Of course.
So there you go. Oh yeah, let's not forget the man Snapchatting Libby, right? So yeah, then we've got this guy, what was his name again? Anthony Shots. His name that he was catfishing her with was Anthony Shots. And he's a child predator. Klein, that's right, Keegan Klein, child predator. And he's been put away for 35, 40 years, as Nick McLeland was saying. So we don't have to worry about him, do we? But he actually had made plans to meet with them, the girls, on the bridge that day. Now, isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient? Now, he apparently has been cleared because he wasn't there that day. He lives somewhere else. I think it might be in a different state, but a long way away. So he wasn't even planning to be there that day. But who's to say that he wasn't in cahoots with whoever it was who was meeting them there that day? Isn't it a little bit too much of a coincidence that he was talking to Libby about meeting them there at the bridge that day, and he'd been catfishing her? It's
certainly,
it's wild. The coincidence is wild. It's so crazy. Yeah, the guy who recently found in the water only had 65 Facebook friends. One was Kelsey. The Kelsey connection is something we're not supposed to talk about. Yeah, because us nasty YouTubers, we bring in the family when we shouldn't. Yeah, Yeah, but yeah, there was a hair that was wrapped around, was it Abby's finger, and it was right from the root. So yeah, okay. Kelsey dropped them off at the hiking trails that day. It is the craziest case ever. Guys, I'm not going to play the rest of that. You can go and watch it. I will put a link here. Vinny with Bob and Erica. Link there. Okay, great. This has been really interesting. Thank you everyone for coming along and watching with us. I'm sorry that it's not the happiest stream considering that it's Christmas. Yeah. However, I think it's really important that we remember that not everybody can be with their family on Christmas. I feel for the families of Libby and Abby being without their kids. I know that it would be the most gut-wrenching thing I can imagine, not to be able to be with my child. But I certainly wouldn't want to be even remotely worried that the wrong person was serving time in prison for that crime.
Yeah.
That's just not, that just wouldn't make me happy. To have people out here saying that that was an injustice, saying that it's the wrong guy, saying that there is all these other people that it could be, that would really worry me. That would make me very upset, and it would make me say, no, please keep looking. I would not be willing to rest knowing that. So to the families of Abby and Libby, I feel sorry that they haven't really had justice, and I hope they realize that there's more work to be done. I really do. I really, really do. Thank you to Sleuthy Goosey in chat for all the work that you've done. You've done a fantastic job documenting everything in this case, and there's more to come, I'm sure. Keeping all the facts and names and dates and everything on track. I don't know how you do it. You're just amazing. Now, Andrea also, if it weren't for Andrea, I don't know how we would have kept across everything, because I swear there's been a few people who were in the courtroom and there's been some erroneous information that came out. And I'm not gonna name names, but there was definitely some things that came out that were just wrong. So that said, I'm very pleased to have gotten my information from Andrea. There was a lot. And I'm not going to say that I caught everything. I definitely didn't catch that thing about that Kathy woman. And I'm really interested in her. I'm going to be looking into what happened with that woman, because I think that she might be covering up for somebody. Andrea Burkett's channel. Yeah, absolutely. She really pulled the veil. Oh, she did. She did. And I will never forget how angry she was when these people testified that we were watching today. She was disgusted. She said, in 2024 in America, this is what we have. And she's just mortified. She was so angry. I encourage you guys, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a fake lawyer from Australia. He ain't one. Yes. But I encourage you guys to watch lawyers. Watch lawyers and their takes on these cases, because lawyers tend to know what they're talking about when it comes to trials. I'm not dissing anybody, but I am saying that get at least one lawyer's take when you're out there watching these things, because they'll give you some insight that you won't get anywhere else. Get as much input as you can from all over the place, but at least get one good lawyer to watch, because someone like Andrea, like I follow Potentially Criminal. Sometimes I watch Lawyer, and like David from Making Law Simple, Andrew Brunker, And I know on this case, Bob Motter, there are a lot of really good lawyers out there commenting. I believe even Melanie Little agrees that this has been an injustice. I don't know of any lawyers actually that are commenting on this that think that this has gone appropriately. If anyone disagree in chat, I'd like to know. But yeah, I think all the lawyers commenting have a big problem with how this went. So, and that tells you something, doesn't it? The Prosecutor's podcast is the one who thinks that everything's fine. So that tells you something, doesn't it? Are they lawyers? Are they actually lawyers? Are they pretending? Not sure. Yeah, but the name of their channel says something. Anyway, let's get going, guys. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. We'll be following up on this in the new year and other cases like Zachariah Anderson and also Brian Koberger and a little bit of Luigi as well. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our wrap-up of Hearsay for Days. All of the best chatter from the whole year. I can't wait to see you. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Love you all. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Okay, good. Time for the song. Time for the song. Where's my song?
You got it?
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. There it is.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Donnie and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803.